the premise of any peace process is that it will require the participation of the stakeholders that will be affected by the agreement. And knowing what's happening, being informed about it, studying the issues, getting a better understanding on why it happened in the first place and what the agreement is all about. It's an important dimension of any peace process. Over the past 2 years, since the President came on board and the new peace negotiators met with our Malaysian counterparts, it has conducted much more number of consultations than any panel in the past. Because this negotiation has been happening for about 14-15 years. By the time the framework agreement got signed, they conducted about 80 to 100 consultations, particularly in Mindanao, focusing on areas that will most likely be affected by the framework agreement. So at the very least, in terms of those stakeholders, there's a huge level of effort on the part of government to inform them. The MILF on its part has also done a number of consultations on their own, basically on their respective stakeholders. Since the signing of the framework agreement, both sides have also been conducting a series of fora to inform the people. For the young people, easy enough. Websites of both MILF and government have the framework agreement and all the speeches of different personalities involved for them to be able to be informed here. So I think that's an important dimension, to inform themselves on why this is happening and what are the components, to raise as well, not just to be informed, but to also raise their own apprehensions, fears, opinions, sentiments about what this is all about, so that those who are involved in the peace process also get the kind of feedback that are needed to be able to do this well. Because it's going to be a very difficult journey. It's not going to be easy. The framework agreement provides us with a roadmap of how to get where we want to go in order to be able to attain just and lasting peace in our country. But that particular roadmap is a very difficult one, and it will require a strong commitment, not just from those who sat on the table, but everyone around to be as committed to peace. And the only way I think one can deepen that commitment is by being informed. Honestly, I hope that the activity, the conference that you're going to do with the students will help raise that. How ready are they? And if they're not, why? You mentioned the word stereotypes. Where did they learn that? Who taught them that a Christian is like this or a Muslim is like this? How much of that got embedded on them by whoever? Culture, media, family, friends, schools, and what's the best way to break down those stereotypes? From what I notice is that all you need to do is to have a personal encounter with someone from another faith, and the stereotypes simply break down. Readiness, again, it depends. If those from both sides, different religions, are ready to reach out and to engage each other in a conversation by the very name of your program, Face to Faith. Give a face to the other religion, give a face to the other faith beliefs, and suddenly realize that we're talking as persons, that there are more things that unite us than divide us, that at the very least Christianity and Islam come from the same religious tradition. And if you're going to look more deeply into it, there are not too many things that divide us. I think that's an important dimension if you want to make this work. That at the end of the day, we're all Filipinos. We all have families. We all desire the same things for our family. A peaceful, prosperous community on where we're able to raise our children. We're able to have our same aspirations for ourselves. And if we're able to find that common ground, then I think it becomes easier for us to work out the many problems that surely will come our way. And I think that became the spirit of the two sides as they were forging the framework agreement. It became, there was a modality of trying to solve the problems together. Being able to see starting with consensus points, areas of commonality, areas of agreement, setting aside initially those that they do not agree upon, and then begin to contend with those particular issues. But I think the framing was that let's work on this together. I think if we're, as a Philippine, as a people, if we're able to do that, then perhaps we can move a little bit more faster to bring that kind of future for all of us. So I think the readiness will grow as we continue to engage each other. People who work side by side with both religions, I think will not find that difficult. There might be a challenge for those who, if you don't know a Muslim, if your circle of friends do not include Muslims, then perhaps there's a need to reach out a little bit more. And I think your program is an excellent venue to doing that. Using media, you don't need to go to Basilan or Tawi-Tawi or to Maguindanao or to Mindanao to be able to engage someone from a different faith. I think that's a first step in making that happen. Provide mechanisms or avenue for cross-cultural, cross-religion conversations and dialogues to happen. We need to recognize that we are not a monolithic country. We are composed of diverse religions, diverse cultures. Being archipelagic, composed of different islands, necessitated us to have different cultures. I think sometimes those of us who are particularly raised in Metro Manila think that we're just one type of people. We're not. And I think the richness of who we are as a people gets lost if we do not recognize and embrace the diversity. So our education system, our educators, our faculty, our administrators in schools need to be able to provide our students with the experience of that diversity. Then perhaps we're able to deepen our understanding of who we are as a people, who we are as Filipinos. Okay, we're Christians, we're Muslims, we're indigenous people, we have different beliefs, but at the core, we are Filipinos. If our educators, our faculty are able to provide through programs like these, our students with an opportunity to express, to reach out, to see, to observe the different parts of the country that have different types of religious beliefs and cultural practices, then I think we would be able to provide our students with a richer understanding of who they are as a Filipino. I think the Bangsamoro, the framework agreement for the Bangsamoro, can potentially help us redefine who we are as a people. Recognizing that there's a certain part of the country whose tradition, whose history have been marginalized, that it has not been reflected in our history books, in our retelling of who we are as a people. I think that we are losing an important aspect of who we are if we do not recapture that particular part of our history, that particular place in our country. And I think it becomes, all of us becomes more rich if we're able to make that, integrate that into who we are as a people. I think first is, as we started our conversation, be informed. Study, learn. We're talking to students. The main business of students is to study and to learn. Inform themselves of what are the issues, the history of this entire struggle of the Bangsamoro, until it reaches a particular point where both sides are committed to achieve the just and lasting peace that all of us desire. That's one. And I think is to, and second, I think is to be involved with activities that are being called upon for peace. Government and the MILF have in the past undertaken certain activities that will generate the voices for peace. I think that's very important, that we are able to build a strong constituency whose only desire is for peace. So that those who might not have that same agenda, whoever they might be, will be able to be confronted with a strong base, with a strong constituency whose only desire is for this particular peace to happen in our lifetime. last words lang to our audience, to the students. Engage us, engage the different parties in this particular journey. At the end of the day, whatever good things happen in Mindanao, in the areas that will be covered with the comprehensive agreement for the Bangsamoro, will all redound to all of us as a people. Our economy will reach higher heights. There will be more jobs, become more stable. We'll be able to reach the fullness of our potential as a people if true peace happens in Mindanao. The problem in Mindanao is not the problem of those in Mindanao. It's a problem of the entire country. The only way we can solve that is as a people, as a country, we engage. So this is an invitation to your students to continue to engage beyond this particular conversation.